Marvel Rivals is changing fast, and one role is quietly taking over everything, and that's none other than Strategists. Most teams from middle elo, high elo, and pro play are stacking 3 of them at once, and it's flipping the entire meta upside down. Forget just having a tank and a duelist. Right now, the smartest squads are building comps around insane cooldown cycling, non-stop utility, and layered team-ups that make every fight feel impossible to crack. And in today's video, I'm breaking down how triple strategist comps are dominating ranked, pro play, and why they're so strong, and what it means for the future of Marvel Rivals. And if you want to climb, you need to understand this shift. While you're at it, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and make sure to hype this video. You can hype this video by going to the comments, it really helps me out. But without further ado, I hope you sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Now, triple support isn't one thing, it's an archetype. Not all triple supports or triple strategist comps are created equal. Bad versions drown in healing, starve on damage, and stall until they lose on economy. Good versions balance survivability with utility damage using supports and hybrids that both keep people alive and pressure the enemy. You want to be thinking about Ultron, Jeff, Atom, Mantis. Each brings sustain or control plus real DPS contribution. So I want to talk about the core formula and why it works. Now, don't get me wrong, when you're playing triple strategists, you're sacrificing one pure duelist spot for more defensive tools and anti-dive stability. The trade-off only pays off if the replacement returns a meaningful slice of DPS. Now, when you're playing a triple strategist lineup, you're playing one main healer followed up by 2 kind of off healers. That main healer is going to either be a Luna, Cloak and Dagger, or Invisible Woman. Your 2 off healers are going to be a Jeff, an Atom, an Ultron, and even a Mantis. Now, these characters, except for really Adam Warlock, provide you with some sort of speed. They have burst windows, pick potential, and there is layered pill. When you're playing a triple strategist lineup, when it's 3 main heroes like a Cloak, Luna, Invisible Woman, yes, there's tons of saves, but there's no finishers. You burn your strategist ultimates and still can't really punish mispositioned targets. Now, when you are playing 3 main healers, the reason why you don't do that is because the healing just becomes a problem. No one is going to really be taking damage when you have 3 main healers, therefore the 3 strategists are not going to be building their own ultimates. They're always going to be fighting for who gets it first. That's why having a main healer, the main defensive ultimate, with 2 others is always going to be better, because that main healer can get their ult rather quickly because they're the ones doing the majority of the healing, while the other 2, the 2 off healers, whether it's again a Adam Warlock, a Jeff, a Mantis, an Ultron, they get them a little bit differently. Now, when it comes to this composition of triple strategists, 2 tanks or 2 vanguards, whatever you want to call them, are non-negotiable. And what I mean by that is triple support without 2 tanks loses tempo. You really need 2 frontliners to soak damage and farm ults quickly. Your entire win condition is built on ult economy and first touch control. Specifically for a hero like Ultron, he supercharges this plan. He farms his ult faster than almost anyone. He bullies divers, especially characters like Spider-Man, Black Panther, and even Magic, and turns these neutral fights into, in quotations, we go first scenarios. Even in the support slot, a sharp Ultron outputs pseudo DPS while stabilizing the formation and can really turn games on its head. Now, you might be sitting here thinking, cool, but this doesn't really answer my question. Why am I seeing triple strategists more and more? Well, triple strategists in mid-elo, high-elo, and even pro play is seen a ton right now, mainly due to the fact that there were some nerfs to Loki that made him significantly weaker. Luna got a slight nerf, even though it wasn't really anything special. The biggest things were some changes to Jeff, where his ultimate now does 100 healing per second from where he activates it, and some changes to Mantis. But you still might be sitting here thinking, cool, but this doesn't really still answer my question. Now, what does answer the question is, the strategists in this game, take for example Adam Warlock, Ultron, Mantis, and Jeff, for whatever reason, do more damage than a majority of the other duelists in the game, with the exception of characters like Human Torch, Phoenix, and sometimes Psylocke. Usually, those are your only 3 real duelist picks. For the most part, those characters either get banned or not played at all, so running triple strategists is usually the best outcome. Now, it's mainly about Adam Warlock and Ultron. These 2 strategists, these 2 healers, whatever you want to call them, are going to be doing a ton of damage. And for the most part, where games like ult economy, especially a game like Marvel Rivals, ult economy when you use your ultimates is a big crucial factor. You have these characters that do, some healing, but have amazing utility. Take, for example, Adam Warlock's Soul Bond ability. It can literally make the difference between you winning a fight and you losing a fight if you don't have this cooldown ready. If you have the cooldown ready, you could save your entire team, your other strategists, your main strategists, from an Iron Man ult, Magneto ult, pretty much everything in the whole arsenal. And the character, even though it has that healing utility, really rewards good aim. His primary attack, or his left mouse button, is a hit scan that does relatively a ton of damage. You can outduel a lot of characters like Hela or even Phoenix if you play it properly and you know how to aim correctly. The same can be said for a character like Ultron. Although he doesn't have the best healing in the world, he gets his ult extremely fast. And with that, you can use it as a duelist ultimate, or you can use it as an aggressive strategist ultimate, however you want to describe it as, and really just run down enemies. I've gone in games where I've dropped 40 kills, 30 final hits or whatever. The character is insane if you play it that way. Again, the reason why you're seeing triple strategists so much of the time, again, is because the duelists in this game aren't really that strong in comparison to a couple of them. And like I was saying previously, it's often better just to grab another strategist that does a lot of damage, but you're still healing for the team and being supportive while still outputting a ton of damage. Now, these triple strategist comps are rather popular. Even Rad, formerly Rad, now Na'Vi, won the mid-season finals Ignite tournament, the $500 million prize pool tournament, with a triple strategist lineup, that being a Luna Snow, a Jeff, and a Adam Warlock. You might be saying, Jeff, why Jeff? Well, in that tournament, Jeff wasn't buffed yet. He didn't receive that change to the healing pool, but he was used mainly for the fact of the Venom team up. The Venom team up is where Jeff can kind of do a soul bond like ability that's similar to Adam Warlock's, where it links to follow teammates, but it doesn't disperse the damage. It does provide some healing. You link your team, you speed them up with your bubbles, and you kind of play a pseudo dive comp and just run the enemy down. And when you add Adam Warlock into that mix, well, then you have two different links. You have the healing link from the Venom Jeff team up, and you have the Soul Bond ability, which I think the Soul Bond ability in this game is literally the best ability in the entire game, besides Regeneration Domain from Loki. You combine both of those abilities, running super fast at the enemy. Yeah, the enemy's not going to be able to really react. I don't think people understand how actually strong these abilities in tandem actually are. That's why, as you see in high elo and pro play, you're starting to see Jeff banned and Jeff saved time and time again now. That's why his triple strategist comps, for the most part, are extremely strong. You have a ton of utility. With some damage, you have other healing ultimates, or you have other strategist ultimates that do different things. But again, most of the strategists do a lot of damage in comparison to a lot of the other duelists in the game. That's why you're seeing triple strategists, and that's why it is so strong currently. Let me know what you think. What do you think about triple strategists in the comments down below? Now, following that, I want to talk a little bit about how you beat triple strategists, or the triple team composition, with a standard 2-2-2 composition. Now, this is just general counter ideas, so results may vary depending on who you're playing with or playing for. So when it comes to countering a triple strategist backline, here's kind of my thought process. If they're playing a 1 Vanguard triple strategist lineup, yes, some people play this, 1 tank, 2 duelists, and then 3 strategists. It's not the best comp in the world, but sometimes it does work. It gives people an unexpected outcome. With that being said, when you run into that, you want to punish the 1 tank variance. You want to hard dive the solo frontliner and flip first tempo as fast as possible. Once you take out that 1 centerpiece that you're dumping all of the resources into, it's a lot easier to just run the enemy down and walk through. Of course, that's easier said than done and doesn't always work flawlessly, but when you're going against that single Vanguard variant, that's ideally what you're going to be wanting to do. Another big thing to understand is that you want to force defensives, that being a Soul Bond ability, Regeneration Domain, or any major cooldown that the enemy team's backline has, without dying, by using a Psylocke diving into the backline, forcing out a Soul Bond, a Venom diving into the backline, forcing out a Soul Bond. Whatever you can do to force it out, get to safety, and then just re-engage. Even though it seems like a lot, trust me, it's so much better when you're trying to deal with these comps. Now, one of the last ways of beating triple strategists or triple support lineups is target priority. You want to snap to utility DPS support, so Ultron, Jeff, Adam, Mantis, and you want to remove their damage glue and the comp collapses. That is one of the better ways of taking that comp out. So what's the bottom line? Well, triple support shines when you buy stability without defaulting to stall. If your third support in question still swings fights, Ultron's beam, Jeff speeds, Atom burst, Mantis' sleep, you've built the right version. Pairing it up with 2 tanks to fuel your ult machine, take first touch, and convert the tempo into clean, repeatable wins. Now that you got a good understanding of the triple strategist comp, why it's being played, why it's so strong, how to slightly counter it, let's talk about some of the other comps that we're seeing with triple strategists. Now, along with triple strategists, Magneto and Phoenix remain one of the most explosive duos currently in Marvel Rivals. Now, while they don't share a direct ability interaction, their synergy is all about how their ultimates layer perfectly to bypass every form of defense. Phoenix's role is that her ult melts through barriers, shields, and healing. Luna's shield with a mag bubble completely gone. Strange's barrier shredded. Phoenix's ult doesn't care what defensive cooldown is active, her ultimate forces everyone to blow HP essentially. And Magneto's role, right after that, Magneto pulls everything together. Using his Meteor M, or the giant meatball that I like to call it, you instantly delete that strategist that's ulting, that big clump of enemies that's stuck together like glue. It's over in a matter of seconds. Like I said, this combo is extremely good and picked a ton, mainly due to the fact that, well, it kills through strategist ultimates a majority of the time. That's why it's so effective. It's even more successful when you're running that triple strategist lineup because you have all of that backline utility to pretty much pocket that Phoenix and to ultimately carry that game. Few duos warp the meta as much as Ultron and Torch. Individually, they're both strong picks. Together, they create one of the most oppressive pressure engines in Marvel Rivals history. So let's talk about Torch's role. He's a high output DPS with consistent poke, zoning, and execution potential. And when left unchecked, he controls entire sightlines with chip damage and burst windows. So what's Ultron's role then? Well, Ultron transforms Torch from a fragile artillery in quotations into a unkillable raid boss. His sustain, drone healing, and defensive uptime means Torch can stay on angles, pressure consistently, and never pay the price for being too aggressive. The result is that Torch is no longer in quotations a glass cannon, he becomes a permanent pocketed turret that few comps can realistically interact with. So why does this synergy work so well, especially in Season 4? Well, Torch's weaknesses has always been survivability. Now, I'm not saying that his movement or anything like that is factors, I'm saying his HP bar and his slam, they recently nerfed it, so his survivability went down. Like I said, he's slippery with movement tech, but if focused, he folds, rather quickly. The whole job of Ultron is that Ultron completely erases that weakness. The drone healing and shielding keeps Torch topped off, letting him push angles others cannot. As well as ult economy, Ultron charges ult incredibly fast, giving a constant supply of tempo swings to protect Torch even during critical fights. And for the most part, he has anti-dive coverage. Divers like Spider-Man, who could dive the Human Torch in the air, or any other characters that can do an insane amount of burst damage, like a Star-Lord, for instance, that can sometimes punish the Human Torch, find themselves shredded by Ultron's consistent damage and utility. It's a perfect pairing. Ultron makes Torch unkillable, and Torch gives Ultron's team endless map pressure. Something to keep in mind is the triple support factor. Ultron and Torch is almost always run inside a triple support shield, which amplifies the core to absurd levels. With either a Mantis, an Atom, a Jeff, and a Luna, what you get is defensive cooldowns and rotation. Torch cycles through different types of speed boosts from Jeff, soul bonds, heals, and pretty much anything that will make him not die. You also have to think about that your frontline, your vanguards are freed up. Tanks can play more aggressively, knowing Torch doesn't need constant peel. You have to think about it if you're playing a character like Hela, if you're getting dived by an enemy duelist, sometimes you need that peel from that frontline tank. But because Torch is pretty much never needing a peel, the tanks can play rather aggressive. Also, Torch provides a lot of ult forcing pressure. Torch forces supports to burn ultimates sometimes just to survive neutral phases. This makes Ultron and Torch the heart of one of the most oppressive playstyles currently in Season 4. Now, I touched on this topic a little bit earlier in the video, but I want to talk about Jeff and Venom. Now, this duo feels like a mini soul bond. Jeff's healing and utility perfectly complement Venom's dive pressure, letting them operate from off angles and constantly forcing fights. Paired with supports like Luna and Adam, you can layer the Jeff-Venom soul bond ability in quotations to team up with a Adam soul bond and for multiple overlapping win conditions. Jeff builds his ult extremely fast because of the cleave, both the healing and the damage, and with the changes recently to his ult that he leaves a 100 HP a second healing pool, it makes Jeff even better than what he previously was. Now, one of the strongest comps at high levels is a Luna, Adam, Jeff, Star-Lord, Venom, and Magneto. It's a toolkit comp. Jeff bubbles the Venom, Artist Star-Lord, Adam adds burst, and Venom and Star-Lord execute backlines from anywhere. Now, this version of triple support, unlike others, isn't necessarily about stalling. It's about forcing cooldowns early and killing through defensive and just running at the enemy. You see this everywhere pretty much for the most part. A lot of the night shift or previously fight night, you see it in night, and you see it probably going to be seeing it back in China. Now, this is probably one of the only seasons I would say that learning Jeff isn't that bad of an idea. Jeff can be suited into a lot of different team compositions because triple strategists play so often, and are usually using Jeff as tempo because you have the speed bubbles, his ult is very good, and he just does a ton of damage whether you want to believe it or not, because he does healing and damage at the same exact time. Again, it's cleave, which makes it absurd. So definitely think about picking up Jeff if you haven't already, or if you're already playing Jeff, then you're already one step ahead. Now, there are some other comps we could be talking about. Emma Psylocke is still a thing. It still runs rampant in high elo and pro play, as well as the Cap Psylocke dive. But one team up or one thing I really want to talk about is Hulk Namor. Now, Hulk and Namor, Namor Jr., Namor, whatever you want to call him, are a classic pairing, especially with the Gamma team up. Two semi-annoying characters who thrive in scrappy, chaotic fights where structure breaks down. Unlike more refined meta duos, they don't really rely on delicate cooldown rotations or perfect spacing. They overwhelm with raw frontline pressure and relentless brawling. Take, for example, Hulk. You want to engage, peel, and create chaos. His leap, crowd control, chain, and massive presence forces enemy duelists and supports to reposition constantly. Then for Namor's role, you want to flank and punish. Namor sets up on side angles, drops squids for area denial, and executes backline targets once Hulk disrupts the formation. Together, they stretch enemy defenses thin. Hulk pulls attention to the front and Namor slices from the side. Now, I want to go a little bit further and talk about why they work well together. Now, not just because they have the team up of the Gamma Squid. Yes, that is certainly true. It is a good team up, but they're also kind of complementary threats. Hulk draws resources, cleanses like a Magneto bubble, stuns like a Luna Snow freeze, Mantis' sleep. He also draws heals and peels, while Namor capitalizes. While the enemy is focused on Hulk, Namor forces trades in the backline. There is also a snowball potential. If Hulk secures a pick or forces out multiple cooldowns, Namor almost always has an opening to punish any of the less than likely abilities. Also, there's always going to be a chaos advantage in disorganized ranked games where peel is late, ults are mismatched or mistimed, and DPS tunnel vision. This duo becomes exponentially stronger. Enemies rarely have the coordination to peel both threats at once, so you can definitely exploit this, especially in ranked play. When it comes to more high elo and pro play, typically it's going to be a little bit harder, because at higher elo or in pro play, a lot of more players are going to be aware of Hulk's presence, aware of Namor's presence, and always be looking out for them. Disciplined poke and defensive rotations will completely shut down a Hulk Namor. Now, our last topic is about the flexible picks or the utility heroes. Now, not every hero defines a meta-breaking duo. Take, for example, Mag Phoenix, Hulk Namor, or the triple strategist lineup, or Ultron Torch. But some shine as flexible puzzle pieces that round out team comps when top tier options are banned, countered, or already taken. Now these aren't must-run synergies, but they do bring reliable value in the right situations. Take for example a character like the Winter Soldier. Bucky's kit makes him one of the best at stabilizing comps under pressure. His displacement tools can yank enemy tanks out of position, disrupting dive setups and creating breathing room for supports and strategists to really work with. He doesn't necessarily always fit into fast-paced dive comps himself, but he does excel when paired with structured frontline. His strengths are that he is a strong anti-dive tool, he has solid displacement utility, and has solid mid to close range firepower. However, for weaknesses, he has lower mobility than other duelists in the game and can struggle in high speed dive metas. And you're going to find the best use out of him when there's defensive or hybrid comps that want to anchor around tanks while denying enemy dives. There's other characters you can throw in there as well, like Hela if you just want poke, a Punisher if you want poke, Wolverine if you're trying to displace other characters as well. But for the most part, your core 3 heroes or your core 3 duelists you're going to be playing for Season 4 is Phoenix, Psylocke, and of course the Human Torch. But with all that being said, that was a glimpse or an analysis of the Season 4 meta. Despite all of these changes in Season 4, despite triple strategists being such a prominent meta, I honestly feel like the game is in a lot more balanced state than what it was previously. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you're new, like the video if you liked it, and hype the video as well. But regardless, I hope you have a safe and great day, and I'll catch you in the next one.